Welcome to Runner's World. I'm joined by Brian Skirka, marketing assistant at the Meadowlands at Monmouth Park, and also the author of Saturday Thoroughbred simulcast specials each week at meadowlandsracetrack.com, where he consistently designs profitable plays. Lately, Brian has been pointing for Saturday, March 28th. With $6 million races and $21 million in total purses, Dubai World Cup morning has evolved into a springtime version of autumn's Breeders' Cup afternoon.
I think the two race events are very similar, Brad, especially in the overlying themes of the races. In the weeks leading up to the Breeders' Cup, we always hear in America how the turf races favor the Europeans, while the dirt races more favor the Americans. I think the same trends apply here. If you take a look at a race like the Golden Shaheen, the sprint, that really favors the Americans, with 8 of the last 9 winners coming from the U.S. Whereas the turf races, even American superstars English Channel and Better Talk Now couldn't make any impact when they shipped over.
Now, Brian, some trainers are like basketball teams. They prefer a home court advantage. But Bob Baffert, he doesn't have to put his track in a suitcase.
That's exactly right. Baffert prides himself on being a top shipper. He wouldn't be sending Indian Blessing to the Golden Shaheen if she weren't ready. In fact, reports had Baffert looking for excuses not to ship Indian Blessing halfway across the world, but she's been training so well that she made his mind for him. Indian Blessing won the Grade 1 La Brea last out over Santa Anita's Pro Ride, and after the race, jockey John Velasquez said he still believes she was 4 to 5 lengths better on a conventional dirt surface. The cut back to 6 furlongs from 7 will also help her, as this extremely fast filly takes on the boys. We've talked about the sprint being an American race. Well, I don't think there's any horse in the world, not from America, who's ever seen a horse as fast as Indian Blessing.
Well, I'm sizing up another American shipper, Machismo, whose ego might not allow filly Indian Blessing to outfight him for the early lead. World Cup Day is an international racing feast, Brian, and I hear there's a new item on the menu for the Godolphin Mile.
That's true, and from what I hear, it really packs a punch. We're talking, of course, about two-step salsa in the Godolphin Mile. He was recently purchased by Team Godolphin after his Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile third-place finish. He really raced gamely in that race after setting incredibly fast fractions to the tune of 45 seconds for the half and 1:08.2 for 3/4. Just like Indian Blessing, I feel there's no dirt horse in the world, not from America, who's ever seen anything as hot as two-step salsa, and his A race will leave the field gasping for water.
Yeah, but there's a tough and talented stretching out sprinter named Gallego who just might be able to soak him up late. Brian, supposedly no one makes house calls anymore, but I hear there's an itinerant Dr. Dino who cuts up rivals with surgical precision.
He really is the equine version of Magellan. This 7-year-old has traveled all over the world the past couple of years, including races in Dubai, Hong Kong, France, the United States, and even in Canada at Woodbine. Throughout his travels, he's collected Grade 1 victories on 3 different continents, and he looks for revenge in this year's race after finishing a fast closing third last year after breaking from post 15 of 16 and racing wide throughout. He's been wide, Brad, in basically all of his 2008 starts and would relish the opportunity to save some ground.
I'm looking at the improving Purple Moon to use his recency edge and revenge a brutal nose job performed on him by the doctor last December. In recent seasons, Brian, the Dubai World Cup has featured titans of the turf like Inversor and Curlin, but this year the scariest thing about one key contender might be his name.
True, he may not be Curlin or Inversor on the track quite yet, but Albertus Maximus definitely has an intimidating ring to it. I think he has a great shot at winning the World Cup this year, being the best American horse in an American race. He won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile before being purchased by the Shadwell, and in his prep for this race, the Grade 1 Don at Gulfstream, he ran very impressively. Usually a horse who likes to come from behind, Albertus Maximus was up on a very fast pace that day, adapting his style to suit a speed bias on the track. To me, that's a sign of a good horse, a horse who can change his game depending on the situation. I like Albertus Maximus to live up to his name in the World Cup.
My pick will have to overcome some name envy, but Casino Drive should love the Belmont-like desert dirt at long stretch. Thank you, Brian Skirka. Join us at the Meadowlands on Saturday, March 28th for 14 straight hours of action, racing action that is. Gates open at 9 a.m., free admission till 11 a.m., free World Cup programs. First post at Nad Al Sheba for the Dubai World Cup card is at 9:40 a.m. Simulcast action all afternoon. highlighted by the Florida Derby and the Horse Player World Series qualifier handicapping contest keying on Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and Tampa Bay. Check MeadowlandsRacetrack.com for entry blanks and World Cup Day picks from Brian and me. And at 7 p.m., of course, live harness racing begins.